I want to tell you this. You have the ultimate right and the ultimate authority to do whatever you want. Okay? But if you do something that goes against what I believe is right, there's nothing wrong with me standing up and telling you what I believe is right and wrong. If you get offended at that, that's your problem. If you are so thin-skinned that you can't handle criticism, then you need to reevaluate yourself. And something's wrong with you, because this whole world is all about criticism. The reason why I don't care if people make fun of me or what I believe in is because people have been doing that my whole life for no reason at all. I totally did not have any type of real deep emotional friendship when I was growing up. Everybody hated me, which really, for those of you out there who say that I'm so off basis on my religious views and all this other stuff, look at it this way. What has the world really offered me other than pain, hate, suffering? Everybody wants to say, well, you just need to stand up with your fellow man, when the only thing that's offered me peace and love is the Word of God. When it comes to other people, there's been nothing but pain and hurt and suffering. Now, does that mean that I'm going to hate those people, or I'm going to go out and try to be mean to those people? No, because I have the love of God inside of me, and I don't want to hurt somebody else. I want them to come to truth. I want them to see the kind of peace that I have in the light of everything that's going on around me. Because I don't want to cry on these things, okay? Because I'm supposed to be a man, but sometimes, you just... Sometimes you look back, and you think to yourself, what did I do wrong? Why did I... I was a kid, second grade, and, forgot her name, third grade with Mrs. Reynolds, and she was back in 82. I forgot her name, Mrs. H. I think it was H. Anyway, first time I go to school, I go in there, and unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of money, and so I couldn't look good. I didn't have all the good clothes. I didn't have the cool toys. I didn't have the cool bike, And so because of that, people judge me on my outward appearance and think that I'm a piece of garbage. In second grade of all places, and not wanting to play with me, not wanting, being the last pick, sometimes not even being picked, and being forced by a teacher to be put on a team, and then nobody even playing with me. And that hurt is still there. But it's a reminder. It's a reminder that kids, you think they're so sweet and innocent. They're not. They're not. We like to think, we have a chance of starting out. We don't have this equal opportunity in this world. I get sad because of the opportunities that I missed. Do I want to sit there and blame specific people? Which is, it's easy to do. You can say, well, he didn't accept me, and because of this, it caused this to happen, and caused this to happen, and caused this to happen. But I can't do that, because over the process of time, because of what I believe, I've forgiven those people. There are a few small memories here and there, specifics of people that had really, really hurt my feelings and really, really did me wrong. But it's no different than what happens nowadays in the government. Look at the Iraq War. They create an entire war on false information. And then after the false information is revealed, nobody gets in trouble. And it's like, what justice is there in this world? But with me and the kids, I don't remember the names of the people who hurt me, because I just said, well, they're kids, and move on with that. But I'm telling you, when you're back in that situation, and you're thinking about suicide, and you're only, second grade? I don't even know how old I was back then. 7 years old. 8? I don't know. You know, and then thinking about suicide. Why? Why? Because nobody wanted to accept me? Well, yeah. You know, you think. You go from having all the friends in the world when I was in Eugene, and then moving to Ashland having none, and being in Eugene, and feeling like you're cool. You know, you hang out with everybody, you play sports with everybody, everyone wants you on your team, you're the funnest guy in class. You know, and yeah, it's first grade and first or second grade. Well, you know, you're just a young kid, you don't understand. No, let me tell you, going from that to being lower than dirt at Bellevue Elementary School in '82 was destructive. It ruined who I was. You know, and then, but let me change gears here, because yes, it's sad to think about that, but let me change gears here, okay? There also is a way that I'm thankful for what happened. I'm thankful for those people who were mean to me. I'm thankful for the people who beat me up, shoved me in lockers, put me in trash cans, gave me swirls. I mean, you name it, it happened to me. Pantsed on the playground. I mean, the list could go on and on, okay? But here's the thing. This is an interesting point that if you're still listening to this, maybe you'll understand this point. But the thing is that had I stayed in Eugene and been the popular kid and not had the Lord in my life and continued in that all the way through high school, would I be where I am today? I don't know. You know, if that's hard to say. You know, we want to say, well, no, it would have been different, right? Because the Lord would have been there and all this other stuff. And I'm sorry, the sun's kind of blocking something. How much time is on the thing? But would it have been different? But see, then again, if I would have gone through all that but then the Lord, if I was a chosen one, it would have been revealed to me. I would have been drawn to the Lord, and who knows? Maybe it would have been better. But because it didn't work out like that, I look at it the opposite way. I'm thankful that it didn't happen, because of the fact that I probably would have been weaker than I am now. Would have been a lot weaker than how I am now. You know? So yeah, I'm somewhat thankful for the way that people treated me, because it made me realize, you know, how hurting that other people really are. How so self-reliant they are on their willingness to present a picture of themselves forward that other people would find attractive. You know, whether it be putting on makeup or wearing this nice clothes or announcing the great job that you had or anything like that. You're trying to make yourself feel more important. It's just like why people put me down. They put me down to make themselves feel more important. You know, and if they were so emotionally insecure that they needed to put me down to make themselves feel better, how's that my problem? You know, that just shows how weak-minded that person really is. You know, and just because I don't want to name specifics, because some of my friends in here do fall in this list. There are a few people that I can think of that I went to high school with who got where they are today because of the wealth that their family has. Okay, by no real effort of their own did they acquire their initial investment of wealth. Meaning that you heard the comment that you have to have money to make money. You invest money and then you make money on your money. You know, do you really need to work for it? Well, sure, you work, but like as a company, a director or a manager of a company, I can think of one specific person. Like I said, I'm not going to name names on this one. But he's a manager of a company that his family founded, I don't know, like in the 40s. And it's a very big company here in Southern Oregon. You know, and it's like, how is he more important than the bum on the corner of the street? He was just born into a family with a silver spoon, you know? Now, do I need to be negative on him? No, because it's like the Lord allowed that situation to happen, because who's to say the Lord needs people who are believers, who have strong spiritual convictions to be in a position to have wealth. to show people how to handle that wealth. Me, I'm not one of the guys that should be in that position. Because me, I don't have the skills and abilities of finance. Well, you say, well, you should have learned that in school. Well, I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to hang out with all these other kids that were putting me down, making fun of me in class. So I'd skip class and I'd go to the library and study what I wanted to study. What I wanted to study was things like computers and electronics, math, and robotics, things that had nothing to do with people, because I didn't want to have anything to do with people. If anything, back in the beginning, I wanted to be a robot because I wanted to replace people. I didn't like people. So how do you hurt people without actually physically hurting them? Well, you can ruin their job. And it didn't take until I was in my last job where I was actually physically replacing people that I got to know, and I was forced and ordered to create machines to replace people. That's when I realized, that it was very selfish of me to feel that way. But I don't have the understanding of finance. I didn't take all those classes in school, or I did but just wasn't paying attention. And I say, well, that's your fault. Well, is it my fault or is it the student's fault for treating me like crap and putting me down like I'm lower than dirt and telling me that, you are you're this piece of crap that nobody cares about, okay? And that's exactly what they did to me. Look at ask anyone who was going to high school, ask them who I am. And chances are either A, they're not going to even know who I am, or B, they're going to remember who I am and realize that I was a nerd or a weirdo or something like that, or just they have this weird perception about who I am, and then ask themselves, well, why is it like that? I bet you 100% of those people are going to say, well, it's always been like that. It's always been like that for some of those people, because, when that first initial shock of rejection happened, it was like I immediately shut down. Because what was the point in trying? But then you have these people like the Columbine kids, they like to say, oh, it's their fault, and the students are like, oh, we didn't see this happening, we didn't see it coming, and yet they were instrumental in causing that to happen by rejecting those people, by putting them down because they're different. Unfortunately, they don't have the love of God in their hearts. So what are they going to do? They're going to act out in violence. Me, I'm not like that, obviously, because I went through my entire school year, and even now, where I don't have the slightest inkling of any violence against anybody. I wouldn't hurt a fly. Well, no, I can't say I wouldn't hurt a fly, because I have hurt animals before, if you want to get technical about it. But I would never hurt a human being. Never have, never will. If you want to get even more legalistic and say, well, have you ever hurt anybody? Yes, I have. Of course, being in the military, you're ordered to fight. You have to fight people. The Pugil sticks is a good example. Boxing match is a good example of that. I was in one fight in high school, and we didn't even throw blows. It was like we just kind of danced around, and whatever, and I booked out of there. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. It just didn't feel right to me. And yeah, everybody made fun of me and laughed at me for running away from a fight, but you only fight the battles that are important. That was an important battle. So what, me and Mike Kerbo are going to fight to see who's the better nerd? Just stupid. That's freaking ridiculous, But when you're kids, you don't look at that kind of thing. You think, what's important? Oh, I had the best phone, the best car, the best clothes, the best this, the best that. Maybe this day and age it's changed. Maybe it's the best grades. Maybe it's the best smarts. I don't know. I don't understand society, but I understand that the Lord has guided me through that, because look at who I am now. I have this understanding of society that very few people may have. And maybe they do. They just don't want to talk about it because it's uncomfortable for them to realize that, hey, oh, my kids may have gotten hurt or whatever because this person was being mean or hateful or whatever. And so that. But they don't understand the cause, the reason why it happened in the first place. You would think these shootings and stuff are happening just because the one person is evil. We like to blame. We like to point fault. That's all we do nowadays. We point fault and we point blame and we think, okay, well, that may solve the problem. You just got to find the person who did the thing, and then it'll be a deterrent for people in the future. It's not a deterrent. It's not a deterrent. If anything, it shows them, oh, well, we just need to be more careful and try to avoid getting caught. And that's my problem, is I got caught. And in essence, getting caught for something that has been blown way beyond what I could have imagined it even possibly being. Okay, I can understand doing a stupid mistake, and even if you have to go to jail for a little while to learn, okay, I may understand that. But sometimes it's so excessive that it goes beyond, that it destroys lives and families. For what? It's because of the privatization of our criminal justice system. You know, they need to keep the prisons full because the prisons are private corporations. You know, and corporations are people. They have rights. You know, and the people who go to prison don't have rights. You know, you're no longer a human being when you step into a prison, apparently, from some of the stuff that I've seen on some shows that Mom and Dad have watched. You know, and yes, I've been in jail before. You know, I spent 7 months in jail for making a stupid mistake. You know, this is back in, I don't know, it's been 17, 18 years now. I mean, it's been a while. But, you know, I've never done anything to hurt anybody else. You know, never has any of my crimes been anything that has directly hurt somebody else, meaning physically hurting somebody else. You know, you could always create this chain of events that will tie it back to somebody, which you can do with anything, honestly. You know, but then again, we say that the people who have homosexual tendencies, they hurt me. They don't realize it, but they hurt me. They hurt what I believe. You know, so what? Do they need to be cautious because of my feelings when I need to be cautious because of their feelings? You see the double standard here that's going to be created because of the society that now we live in. You know, and the thing that people aren't realizing is we like to talk about it. We like to think, oh, we can solve it by doing this, this, and this. There's one family member who likes to complain nonstop about everything. And it's like, offer some solutions instead of complaints. But then you need to realize is that anybody ever stop to think and realize that maybe this situation is not going to be fixed? You know, that the end times are going to be happening sooner than we think because of the fact that it's not fixing itself. It's getting worse. You know, how is the Lord going to bless America when everyone in the government is lying to everybody else? They're keeping everything a secret. They're keeping everything under wraps. They think, oh, we got to be security and peace, and we got to go out and attack people who even think that, you know, threatening us and all this other stuff. A good example is people who nowadays, which I do not agree with this one bit, but the people who are being recruited by people on ISIS, you know, by young kids who are very influential, who don't have anything to live for in this world, in this America, and they see something like that on TV or on the internet or wherever it is, they see that stuff, the recruitment videos, and they think, wow, I can feel important, I can feel special, I can feel like a mission and needed. Of course they're going to go to that. You know, I wanted something to feel needed and wanted, and guess what? It was the Lord. He was there. You know, and if we don't have the Lord for our kids, and they see something like that, of course they're going to go to it. But then you have the government that's going to crack down and say, oh, you were associating with ISIS, we're going to send you in prison for the rest of your life. And they're just a kid because they were born and raised in a society that has honed them to be like that. That the first person that comes along that makes them feel special or needed or like they have this mission in life, you know, they're going to go to that. When America has rejected them as people, they have put them down. They've made them the crap of our society. Forgive me for saying like that, but that's what it is. You know, and then we're going to go after them and blame them for wanting to reach out to something that will make them feel better. Because I can understand their position, where you are so rejected and so just put down and so self-destructive that you're going to go out to anything that will make you feel good. To get rid of that pain, to make you feel important, to make you feel special, you know. But then we need to do our chain of events. You know, when some people go to court and they're like murder or, you know, some of these major crimes, like especially sexual crimes, right? You know, and then the defense likes to throw up these things about things that happened to them in the past and things that have caused them to be like that. To make it seem like, okay, it's not all their fault. We're going to shift some blame somewhere else so they're not as legally responsible for their actions. You know, why don't they do that about those shooters? Why don't they go after the people that are doing like all these shootings and stuff? Go after the people that caused them to be like that in the first place. You know, criminal charges against them, against their school. Okay, school shooting? Yes, let's do an investigation. Why are they like that? Oh, well, you put them down, you beat them up, you did this to them, you caused a stressful psychological state on this person. You know, you are somewhat responsible for this as well. We don't do that, and we think it's absolutely. How do I say this? Well, there's just such a double standard now, and really, the thing that's been set up now is geared legalistically towards Satanism. That's just keeping it real. And you may say, well, I don't believe in Satan, I don't believe in that. You know, whether you believe in him or not doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Okay? You know, that's why people like to say, you know, well, I like Lordship Salvation is a good one. You know, make him the Lord of my life, and then you'll be saved. Well, he's the Lord of your life, whether you agree with it or not. Okay? He's the Lord, period. No matter what you have to say about it, he's the Lord. That's just the way it is. You know, you can accept it and become a believer in who he was and who he said he was for your, you know, if you want to do it because of eternal rewards, if you want to do it because of, you know, I don't want to say because of what the comfort that you can get. I don't know. I mean, for me, I do it because it's the truth. You know, and yeah, part of it is because I don't want to go to hell. But the other part, it really, I don't think about that at all. You know, I don't think about doing it because I don't want to go to hell. You know, I do it, and I'm a believer because of the fact that there's nothing in this world that anybody's offered that's given me as much peace as the Lord has. You know, and in light of everything that goes on, the wrongful accusations against me, the things that just you know, eat at you constantly, day and night, that you know that you're not like this person that you're being portrayed out to be, and you know, just because you're sitting back idly by and just saying, you know what, Lord, I'll do what I can, but I'm just too weak. He understands how you are, and he'll work miracles in your situation. And sometimes, like I try to explain to Mom, you know, sometimes, you know, yes, it would be great if everything worked out peachy keen, but sometimes it doesn't work out like that. You know, my mom doesn't like hearing about the suffering that I went through in school because she wasn't there. You know, I don't want to say it like that, like she wasn't there and just didn't, you know, no, it was the fact that we lived. I mean, I was in Ashland, she was in Eugene. You know, of course I went up and saw her during the summertime, you know, and we would go visit, you know, or even go up to the lake in Idaho. I mean, you know, there was a relationship there, but she wasn't there physically, and so she didn't really have a direct impact on the way that people treated me. You know, I couldn't go back and complain to Mom and say, man, it's really hard nowadays because the kids are just picking on me for no reason, and I'm trying to be nice and trying to be myself, and nobody seems to like that, you know, Mom. So I don't know. You know, but I don't want it to be like that it's all that bad, you know, because I like to share the stuff that I've been through because people that have gone through the same thing, and I'm not holier than thou. I'm not saying that I'm stronger than somebody else, you know, because maybe, let me put it this way, maybe I am stronger than most people when it comes to people attacking you and putting you down and making fun of you, but I'm not stronger than other people when it comes to relationships, when it comes to finances, when it comes to other, you see, we each have our strengths and our weaknesses, you know, and so I'm not going to sit there and toot my horn and say, oh, I'm the strongest because I could go through that, and you know, the Lord has a way of bringing you down when you're so prideful and that kind of thing. You know, and I am somewhat prideful in that, but it's more like, hey, great, I have the tools. Oh, you're dealing with some struggles too? Here's what helped me. Let me go ahead and share that with you and help you through with what you're dealing with. You know, and I don't want to go off too far on a tangent, but it really hit home today when, you know, you're hearing all these things and the bad things happening and not getting back to the roots and the double standards, and it's just like this world is falling apart fast and nobody sees it. Those of you who have been alive at least as long as me back in the 80s, you know, when I was growing up, it was a very different culture. Very different, you know. I mean, I would walk from Bellevue all the way to downtown Ashland, which is close to 3 miles, just hang out in the park and then go back before it's dark. No problems. No even worries about anything, do anything to you. And even if they did, you know, I knew how to handle that situation. Run away, scream, you know, you can always get to a phone. You know, if somebody snatches you, you know, why do you think my dad took us to Taekwondo? You know the soft targets to hit to get somebody to leave you alone. Hey, you know, great. What's the problem? And now today, you have kids that are, you know, 10, 11, 12, that are walking 3/4 of a mile back from the park, and they're getting stopped by the police, and the CPS is calling the parents because of felony neglect. That's the... Oh, man. we're turning into this society of Big Brother and I want to say sheeple, but we're more like ants, okay? And ants without teeth that can't do anything. I mean, but why even talk about it? It's not going to change anything. I mean, I can understand talking about it to get the information out there so other people will figure out a way to deal with it themselves. But for these people to say, complain, 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 and just don't offer solutions, it's like, why do that? I mean, other than just cause more stress, more hate, more things. We already understand all this stuff. Why are we even talking about it? I don't know. I almost just want to give up. Like I told Mom this morning, I almost just wanted to give up. And what I did tell her is I don't want to be a Christian anymore. I'm a believer. I'm not a Christian. Christians, in my perception, which really, it wasn't a name that they called themselves. Actually, the name Christian doesn't appear in the Bible, at least from what I understand. It's always called believer. The believers, the saints. I don't want to be a Christian. I want to be a believer, right? Because Christians, you have this persona of you have to be a certain way and this, that, or the other. And believers, what does that say about it? You're just a believer, okay? You're a believer that struggles with sin. That's who I am. Part of me doesn't want to. There's a part of me that says, okay, I don't want to be a Christian because I don't want my sins to affect how somebody else may picture Christianity. And I can understand that, but that's if you fail to understand the power of of the Lord. If you fail to understand the power of the Lord, then yeah, you think that your actions or whatever will cause people to say, oh, I don't want to be like that. But then there are going to be those people out there who have a meek heart and will see somebody who calls themselves a believer, but struggles constantly, day and night, to understand the knowledge of the truth and to overcome sin. It is a constant battle. It never ends. It doesn't end. To have that battle going on inside of you, it turns you into this meek person that isn't all about like ISIS, where they're oh, you don't believe with me, bam, you're dead. That'd be kind of like get all the people who are schizophrenics together and they say, oh, you don't agree with how we feel, kill them. And then we won't do anything to them because they're mentally unstable. We shouldn't. We need to just understand them. And it's kind of like the same thing with ISIS. It's like, well, they're doing their own thing. We kind of need to understand them. It's all about freedom of religion. And I can understand freedom of religion, but not when it comes to hurting other people. People like to point out, especially in the Old Testament or New Testament, where people are stoning people or God's raining fire down from heaven. But remember, back in the olden days, okay, the Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit is everywhere, but as far as it giving unto man, at least from my understanding of the Scriptures, that didn't happen until after Jesus came and went. Of course, there were certain people like Elijah or Moses or these other good prophets who were close to the Lord. And so, yes, there was. I personally believe that they received the Holy Spirit as well. I could be off on that. I don't know. But from my understanding of it, it's more like a how do you say this? It's like there's the only way for God to really get involved in humanity and let people know, hey, this is the way you need to be. Yeah, He's going to rain fire in heaven, rain fire down from heaven, and destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, flood the earth. But it's like, remember, it has to do with faith, and faith is believing what you cannot see. Being sure of things hoped for and believing things cannot see, I think is how the Scripture is said. I could be off on that, so don't quote me on that. But the point, the gist of that is that you can't just think that he won't work miracles in anybody's life and cause them to become closer to Him, no matter what the situation may be. And for me, that's how it is with me.